Good morning, lovely people. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. I'm a bit chilly. Oh my goodness. The temperature has suddenly dropped and we're now I'm steaming the glass up, we're kind of back to what we should be and for our average, because October was ridiculously warm. Most days sort of 3, 4, 5 degrees above normal, but literally a few days ago at the end of October, I think it was the Saturday, it was 22 degrees. Gorgeous for being out in the garden getting the work done. Today 11 degrees, which is pretty much normal for this time of year, but honestly, to drop 11 degrees in a couple of days, it's like I haven't acclimatised. Anyway, it's time for a tour of the garden, and gosh, it's looking very different. I was thinking about this on my way here today, how, you know, at the start of October, the garden still sort of looks like it does in the summer. And now it is very different. I think this is the time each year when the biggest change happens in the garden. That the difference between the beginning of October and the beginning of November, more so than at any other time, more so even than in spring, because of course in spring the changes are gradual, whereas now it's sudden, wham bam, thank you ma'am. So I don't want to sit still for too long because it is quite chilly for just sitting. The cats have all had their cuddles. I'm going to leave them in here, they're having some nibbles now. Rusty is loving his new bed. Have I shown you that? New bed in the cold frame. When I arrived this morning, he was tucked up in there, sort of getting a little bit of extra warmth from the sun on the glass. Anyway, let's go and see how the garden is doing at the beginning of November, when it is now properly starting to feel like late autumn. Oh, gorgeous blue sky. But that's why it's so chilly. No clouds to act like a duvet. We've had quite a lot of rain, so it's pretty soggy underfoot. And someone's starting with an angle grinder, never mind. So here we are at the top of the garden, and suddenly the garden looks really quite flat. Please stop and stay stopped. Look at this is the poached eggplant. It's going mad. It's like you're not supposed to be doing anything until the spring. But that's, I think, because of how warm October was. So apart from anything else throughout October, one of my priorities has been weeding this pesky grass out of all my paths. And someone did ask, a couple of people asked actually, was all that grass everywhere because I use grass as a mulch? No, a couple of reasons. One, the grass I use as mulch goes on the beds, and I didn't have grass in the beds. All the grass that was in let's come this way, you get a better idea, in all the mud paths, it's blown in from somewhere, or it's been carried in somehow. So no, it's not from mulching. I've got some grass as a mulch in one of the beds, which I'll show you. And the other thing is, when I use grass as a mulch, I'm using the clippings. So just, the tips of the blades of grass, they haven't got a root on them, so they can't grow. And one of the ladies was saying that there's Kay's cat Monroe, morning Monroe, she was saying that she'd used grass as a mulch and now she's got grass in her bed. And what I suspect happened is that the grass she cut to use as a mulch already had seed heads formed on it. So that's just something to be mindful of when you use grass as a mulch, is make sure you're not using grass that's already started to go to seed. Isn't he a cutie? Morning, lovely. Anyway, yes, so the main focus, and here comes Rusty defending his territory. One of the big focuses in October was get this garden weeded, which you can see it pretty much is now, though I'll keep an eye on it. So what have I got growing still? Well, I've got all the brassicas up here. This tunnel is a mixture of purple sprouting here, there, and some red kale. I think I'm going to have to come the other way because it's going to be a shadowy day because it's early and the sun is still low. Yeah, so purple sprouting broccoli and some red kale in there. This needs weeding because where I've pulled the compost out, I don't know, I seem to have got, it looks like some poached egg trying to come up, and I don't want them. So yeah, it's the thing about having the nets. It's what I hate about nets is it kind of puts you off doing anything because it feels like a faff to take the nets off to do the weeding. But yeah, I'm going to have a day with the brassicas, all the nets off, get them all tended to and looked after. This lot, this is the Cavallo Nero. You can't see a thing, can you? Oh, maybe if I come this way, the light will help. So they're all looking grand, and I can start harvesting, which would be great. Because the only green I've been having is chard and spinach. It gets a bit boring after a while, so it'd be nice to have the brassicas added in. Of course, apart from weeding, another of the main focuses throughout October is as I took in the last of the harvests, I cropped and dropped my beds. So in other words, I harvested, took the crop off, I grabbed the crop, and all the remaining plant material was chopped and just dropped in situ and then covered. I need to find some more cardboard. A little bit of leafy stuff. I've still got quite a few lettuce left. I don't know how much they will stand up to cold weather though, so they've been lovely. I think it's Little Gem, I think, is it? It was some scraps of little teeny tiny seedlings that Gary had. They've been great. I've really enjoyed them. And of course I've got that little stand of chard, and then at the end some spinach. So I've got plenty. I do have plenty of leaf stuff. It's just more I'm hankering for brassicas. And in here again, hold on, let's see if we can find light through the tunnel again. It sounds like some existential thing, doesn't it? Is there light in the tunnel? In here, it's dazzling blue kale, and I think you can probably just make out, can't you? They are getting... Can you make it? Oh, I can't make out a blooming thing. That's the other thing I don't like about nets is I can't see my veggies, but they're pretty much at the tops of their nets. So I want to get the nets off. There's no mulch on here, so I was hoping to use the straw. Now, what I've noticed is the straw is starting to shoot. So with a straw bale, what we're hoping for is it's just the stalks from the wheat. Obviously the wheat gets harvested and is used for all our lovely flour products. And then we're left with the stalks, straw. I can use it as mulch, but it looks like there might have been a few ears of corn left in that. So when I use it, because I don't want to make problems for myself further down the line. Yeah, there's quite a bit of sprouting going on. I don't want to make problems further down the line, so I think it will be worth my while taking my time to actually remove, you see, look, a little ear of corn that was left. Oh, it'll be a faff, but I need mulch, but I don't need wheat sprouting everywhere. It's sitting on this bed. This was one of my stands of beans that did really poorly. I'm going to come this way actually. It did really poorly. The last of them, I did a crop and chop and drop. Got the last of them home. They are podded and finishing drying. More of that in another video, but yeah, now chopped, dropped, covered, cardboard covered. This was squash, of course. Now this one is covered too. This was my kind of learning curve this year, to show that, you know what, Vivi, sometimes you just have to change. This bed has not been in use all year. This bed is left exactly as it was this time last year. It just got too much this year with all the other obstacles, all the setbacks I had. And I just thought, you know what? I can't do it. I just can't do it. Now, it's not like me to give up. But sometimes you have to be sensible to know when it is time to quit. And this bed, it was one bed too many. And you know what? It actually didn't matter. Okay, I didn't have cucumbers and I didn't have peppers. But I had plenty of other stuff, you know. It's a lesson to me. I survived, even though I didn't do this one bed. Oh my goodness, this really bothered my OCD right into sort of July, beginning of August. And then I just, you know, as we were in the drought and watering every day, I thought, oh, stuff it, I'm so glad I don't have this bed to water. Yay! Now this is 4 rows of broad beans. And obviously, I had a sneak on my way into the garden to look. I can show you this one because the net doesn't cover the whole bed. Oh, my little beauties are up. Now, because the nets don't cover, I'm just going to see, let's see if we can use the light again. I'm going to come this end, wobbling along the path. Everything's a bit slippy and I didn't bother putting my wellies on. But, oh sorry, hang on a sec, let me see if I can do this. Because inside, oh la la, get you in. Hang on, it's going to be rough. Now, can you see? So the majority are up. Now inside, they're up slightly further than the ones outside. Now, I've always thought having these nets does give them a degree extra of protection. See, there's one in there. Can we find an angle? It's really, really coming up. I've always thought it gives them maybe 1 degree, as in Celsius, centigrade, of protection. So it'll be interesting as we go through the winter. Well, it may not be interesting to some, it will be interesting to me. As we go through the winter, to see what, if any, difference there is between these that are on the outside. So I think there's 1, 2, 3, one has not germinated, one's not germinated. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the outside, compared with, it's nearly 60 on the inside. Will there be any difference? We'll see, because these nets aren't going to get any longer over the winter. Actually, let me just put this wire back. That's my stop cats and foxes using it as a latrine. And then look at this sight. Oh my goodness. What a gorgeous sight. All the garlic up and racing away. And the colour, this is what I mean about how I love to have garlic in the garden at this time of year, because it's a bit of green when so much else of the garden turns brown with cardboard. So just so you know, the garlic and broad beans, they went in on the same day, and it was 18 days ago, so 2.5 weeks ago that they went in. And it just shows how warm it was in October, warm enough to get them all going. And we've had pretty much alternate days, almost every day, rain. So rain one day, dry the next, rain, dry, rain, dry. So they've been plenty moist, but not so wet they'll rot. And they've had enough warmth to encourage them. And of course, there was that residual warmth in the soil from the summer. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with my timing this year. I think I've absolutely kind of got it spot on in terms of making the most of the conditions. Great stuff. So they'll just happily grow away over the winter. I will, if there's some spare straw, I will try and mulch this bed too. Don't want any bare ground. Ah, my goodness. And this bed, the 3X squash beds. Oh, shadow thing again, let's come around. Excuse me. Well, you can see these have been chopped and dropped, and there wasn't actually much material to chop and drop, but these were mounded up with all that horse manure, so there's a good amount of material anyway. That one is still to be covered. Yeah, need to find some more cardboard. I don't know, that also had a load of horse muck, and I don't know that I'm going to have material for chopping and dropping. There is going to be some more chop and drop material, but I don't think it's going to go on that bed. Anyway, so yes, good. Covered. It's all getting covered. This bed has dramatically shrunk. So this was coco de pampol and beetroot. So all the coco de pampol have been harvested now. You can see that's where they've been chopped and dropped with a bit of that was some compost. Can't remember where it came from. I think it was from one of the pots that had been in the herb garden. But I still got a nice amount of beetroots in here of varying sizes. Oh, that's a goodie. That's a good one there, sitting next to its twin. So yeah, there's a few more there, a few there, a few on the other side. The nasturtiums romping away. People have been talking about, have we had frost, have we not? Well, I'm pretty sure we haven't, because the nasturtiums would be one of the first plants to show it if we had frost, and that is not looking like it's giving up anytime soon. The great thing about nasturtiums, hang on, I've got to step up, wonky knee day. One of the great things about nasturtiums, especially at this time of year, you can see there's another couple in that bed that I didn't use. Don't be in a hurry to clear them out. Actually, it's about now that you might be doing it, because you'll probably be cropping and dropping or composting quite a lot of brown plant material, quite a lot of stuff that's really gone over, and we start to lack for any green stuff to put in our compost bins. Well, of course, you can grow your own green stuff for the compost bin, so enjoy it for as long as possible. But if you're getting to the stage where everything you're chopping into the compost is brown, think about chopping some of your nasturtiums in too. This bed is the odds and sods of brassicas, and this is what I mean about, this is all grass. It's actually quite a thick layer of grass mulch. That's all come from, you can see a few days ago I trimmed my edges. Oh, it's such a happy sight. So yeah, and they were getting pretty tatty, so it's produced all of that. So once I've trimmed the edges, I just scoop it all up, because yeah, it's neater. But also, if I leave all the trimmings just sitting along the edges, well, they're on paths, they're being wasted. So I'd much rather scoop them up. You know, it takes me 15-20 minutes, but get them scooped up, get them on a bed. One, it's working as a mulch over the winter, especially because of all this rain, but two, that will eventually decompose and be incorporated. So yeah, these are just, honestly, I've kind of forgotten what they all are now. They're random selection. And then also I've got on the end here is mulch. This was the spent compost from the grow bag on the deck, and some bits and bobs, like some of the toilet rolls that hadn't properly decomposed in that bag, some roots. Just chuck it on, it's all mulch. Yay! And then finally, this bed still has a bit going on. Oh, the colour. Honestly, this little corner, just these two beds this year, they've been such a delight, such a happy sight. So in here I've got my parsnips interspersed with some where I had odd bits of spinach. It's just all random this year. And then obviously the calendula. Now, it's getting to the stage I was talking about leaving all of the calendula now for seed saving, but I think I'm going to harvest half of it. One last harvest. Yeah. And I've got to say, I'll come this way to show you. My little... You're not going to be able to make it out now. Let's come down here. The light will... No hope of making it out. My little wattle fence all along. Oh, it just worked such a treat. Otherwise, by now, this lot, I'll come and stand in line with it. Here's my path. This lot would be all over the path. This lot would be all over the parsnips. Oh, yes, happy sight. So with the parsnips, well, the parsnips, they're like any root crop in that I'm dying to have a go. I'm dying to get in there and pick one. I mean, not pick one, dig one up, see how they're doing. But I'm sure you probably all know that parsnips do better for a frost. It helps to break the starches down into sugars, makes them sweeter. So, yeah, I'm going to resist temptation. And the other thing, also, I'm going to resist temptation because I've got plenty else to eat at the moment. So I shall leave those for a day when there's less else around. This bed was rock and core beans, and where I had gaps I plugged with little bits of chard. Chard is romping away now. And again, it's another of those beautiful veg for the winter garden. Just that little bit of colour, the glossy leaves, oh, they're a joy. So they're massively filling out now, but all the rock and core was harvested. The remains of the rock and core were chopped and dropped with the coco de pampol because there's no space here, because I've got this. Maybe it'll shout back in this way. There's one rampant calendula and another rampant calendula, and then at the other end. So obviously the calendula is going to disappear in the next few weeks. It will go, the frost will get it. And then I'm going to have quite a few bare bits in this bed. So again, I'll need to think about either some mulch, some organic material for mulch, or plug in the gaps with cardboard. But on the other side, my celery, do you remember it went in so late? But oh my goodness, it's doing so well. It's gorgeous. I'm having plenty of this away now. So this isn't celery like you sort of buy in the shops, your blanched bunch of celery. Think of this more like you would with herbs. So when harvesting, I just take a leaf and stem from numerous different plants, and it just keeps growing, keeps coming back. So it's a fab cut and come again veg. And a bit more chard. You can tell that I think maybe that bed was... Oh no, I know which bed. I normally wouldn't have the chard dotted everywhere. I quite like it, but it's because it was supposed to be in this bed, chard with half a bed to itself. But then I got to the stage, the don't give up but just modify your plan, where I thought I can't be doing with building my bean arches this year. They'll just have to go in one of the beds. Okay, so this is my next big job. I suppose in a way there are two big jobs left. One, dealing with the beans, and two, mulch and dealing with the brassicas and making sure all the brassicas are really happy. And once these two big jobs are done, then, I'm finding cardboard, then really the garden can just settle down, and it'll be a case of I pop down here once a week for harvesting, maybe a bit of tidying, maybe twice a week, just because it's nice to come here. But yeah, this all needs to come down now, and you can see there are pods dangling left, right and centre. Get those harvested. Ideally I would have done it before we started getting so much rain, but we've just had rain on and off and on and off and on and off. So what I'll do is, see, there's quite a few pods still. These must be Churchill Black. Yes, they are. And actually, I wonder if I can sort of demonstrate these were from the second flowering. So although they're hanging quite low, their stem is really high. That's like sort of 7, oh no, it's got to be more, maybe 8 feet. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, I'll go through all of these, and actually some of these may be green enough for me to have demi-sec. But where I've got the dried ones, oh, tricky light today. So normally what I would do is I'd just have them all off and spread the pods out on a bit of newspaper at home to let them finish drying. But because we've had so much rain, the pods they're sort of trying to be dry, but they're damp. So I'll just have the beans out straight away. No leaving them in soggy pods. Get the beans out straight away, and spread just the beans out on the tray. So this was my 2 rows of new potatoes. Not many left now, just a couple. I can't remember whether I was saying this in a video or maybe on Facebook. Someone was asking me why I don't do a big reveal. Well, because I leave the potatoes in the ground for storage until I'm ready to use them, because I don't need this bed. I don't need this bed for something else, so there's no hurry to get it cleared. If I needed to clear it, of course I would. But if I took them all out, 8 weeks or so ago, by now they'd be sprouting in the cupboard, whereas in the ground they don't. So that's the last of the new potatoes to come out. And then I've got the main crop potatoes to start in on. Now, having just said that about storing them in the ground, because we are getting quite wet, I think I will probably get this lot out, because I think if I leave them in with the ground getting so wet they may just rot. The reason I'm shuffling down this way is because I want to show you that, I think you'll agree, is a sign of approval. That was a happy puss. Sweet dreams, fella. Now obviously he's not baking in there because part of the cold train is open. That's how you can get in and out. And he's so funny because he'll get up, have a stretch, come out of the cold frame, wander into the herb bed to the insect drinking station, have a little drink, and then off he goes doing his own thing. Anyway, yes, so spots to come out. Oh, I'm being like a little inchworm, inching my way. This dappled light through the beans. Oh, that's rather lovely. And then finally coming around, as you saw recently, look at this honeysuckle flowering. Yum. As you saw the other day, I had a bit of a tidy up, bit of a sort out with this. Oh, I think my verbena needs tying back a bit. It's right over my path. So the rhubarb is supposed to be dying back. Keeps putting new shoots out. Right, let's duck onto the verbena or dodge around it. Oh, blah. Yeah, I was really happy to get that day in the herb garden, because this was a mass of weeds and self-seeded things. So now everything that I do want in here has got room to breathe a bit. There's my lovely Clint standing guard. It always feels good, doesn't it, when you get the time to have these sort of little sort out sessions. Not anything major. That was the marjoram I planted and the sedum planted. But just those little jobs that, well, they've been sort of on your mind for a while, in the back of your mind, sometimes at the front of your mind. So it's nice to sort of set aside a couple of hours and say, right, I'm going to ignore everything else in the garden and just get this bit done. And of course the deck is now looking very sad and bare and a bit of a mess. They got dumped the other day. That was on the garlic. Why haven't I put them away? I need to put them away. See, there's always this, you know, even at this time of year, there are still little jobs, little bits to do. But I think, you know, generally speaking, gosh, the garden looks so different now, doesn't it? You think, you know, 4 weeks ago, I still had masses of tomatoes. I still had all, you know, that bed and that bed, 4 rows of tomatoes, and dripping with fruit. I've still got a little bit of the green fruit to take home to ripen. That'll come with me today because we are getting cold. And it's all been ripening. Brilliant. So yeah, I think, you know what, in the sunshine today, yes, it's a bit chilly, but it's just lovely to see they're still green. You know, that's one of the other reasons that I love having my grass paths, because even in winter, I mean, we're sort of heading into winter now, but even in these darker, chillier days with empty beds, there's still the lovely vibrancy of the green of the paths. And of course, they're a habitat. So there's wildlife in them, their paths. But yeah, I'm happy. I've got things growing. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 beds with brassicas. So that's 8 rows of brassicas. The broad beans and the garlic are coming along. The chard will go right through winter. The spinach will go through winter. The celery will go through winter. I've got the lovely parsnips to come. I've still got all the spuds to come out. So, yeah, chuffed. I'm happy with where it's at today. I think, I can't remember whether I've mentioned this already or it might be in a video that's coming up that I've already filmed. But this year I really wanted to get on top of getting the garden tucked up for winter earlier. I didn't want it going right through November, because now I want to turn my attention to all the planes that have suddenly appeared. Yeah, I want to turn my attention to sewing and indoor stuff now. So, yeah, chuffed with where that's at. A couple more big jobs to do. They will happen at some point. So for now, I'm going to bid you all a very happy farewell, and I will see you again really soon with something indoors. Ah, yes, an indoor day making things. So until then, cheerio.